What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Make Money and Have Fun show. And today I have probably one of my favorite guests that I'm ever going to have on this show. In many ways, he inspired me to start this show. He really doesn't need much of an introduction, but I will give you one anyway for him, keeping it nice and brief. Mr. John Lee Dumas is my guest today. He's the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire, an award-winning podcast where he interviews inspiring entrepreneurs to help you along your entrepreneurial journey. John's interviewed over 3,000 incredible entrepreneurs, including Tony Robbins, Seth Godin, Gary Vaynerchuk, Barbara Corcoran, Tim Ferriss, and many others. So please, without any further ado, help me welcome Mr. John Lee Dumas. What's going on, John?
Hey, Fred, what's happening, brother? Appreciate you bringing me up here. And I was actually a little late to the studio today. Wanted to let you know I did bump my next call. So we have exactly 15 minutes starting right now. The full 15 as promised. You're the man.
Nice. No, you're the man, John. I'm so excited to have you here. Dude, this is awesome stuff. I've really been spending my time just building new relationships, and I am so pumped and fired up to have you on here. John, I want to hear it from you yourself. Tell us your story. Who are you? What do you do? And how the heck did you end up becoming a podcaster? Talk to us.
Listen, I grew up in Maine, went to college on an Army scholarship, did 8 years as an officer in the U.S. Army with a little 13-month tour of duty in Iraq. Thought that I was kind of like off on this like very traditional path, but then the traditional path failed me. Dropped out of law school, corporate finance, commercial real estate. Nothing worked. So I started listening to the best audiobooks, reading the best business books, like just consuming the best content I could around entrepreneurship, business, the biographies, etc. And it led me to podcasts. And back in 2012, I identified a void in the podcast marketplace. There was no daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. I wanted there to be one to listen to. And since there wasn't one, I decided to, as Gandhi would say, be the change you want to see in the world. And that's when I launched Entrepreneurs on Fire. And as you and I are talking now, Fred, 3,000 episodes have been published, 100 million listens, 1.4 million listens every single month. And our business, generates multi-millions of dollars a year of net profit. So it's been a success all the way around. I'm into my 9th year of rocking and rolling. And brother, I'm just getting started.
Dude, I love that. It's so amazing always looking at people who really go down, in a sense, an unconventional path, if you will, where they become an influencer, whether it's YouTube, podcasting, writing a book, whatever it might be, different things like that, and actually blowing it up into a real career. What would you say really kind of makes that difference between someone who's just podcasting and kind of dabbling with it and someone who's podcasting and making it into their actual living?
Listen, if you're going to make podcasting into a living, and this goes for anything that you are going to do that doesn't have you getting a paycheck at a 9-to-5 job, you need to understand one truth in life. If you are the best solution to a real problem, you will win. If your podcast is the best solution to a real problem, you will win. If your course, book, product, service, fill in the blank, is the best solution to a real problem, you will win. If it's the second best or the 10th best, you will lose. So you need to go through the process to understand, I'm going to find and identify a void that it currently exists, and whatever that might be, and I'm going to be the best. So going back to my launch of Entrepreneurs on Fire, the day I launched, Fred, it was the best daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the worst daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the only daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. How can you be the best? How can you be the only maybe? That is the key. That's how you're going to win.
I love that. I love that. How long did it take for you to really see that this was catching on? Because for me, it was my first episode. When I did my first episode, I was like, I think I just made my best decision in 2020. And since then, I mean, I've just been getting power players on here. Yourself, John Lee, you are John Lee Dumas. Les Brown, for the most part. Les Brown I had on here. I had your friend Brandon Adams on here a while ago. Just so many really amazing, cool people. where would you say you kind of saw that turning point for you where you were like, oh crap, I just built something amazing?
It was pretty early on as well. I mean, I was just, number one, loving having conversations with these individuals. I mean, my belief in this quote is so strong. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And my 5 kind of sucked, Fred. Like, they just weren't great. They weren't bad people, but they just kind of sucked. Like, as far as a motivational, inspirational, like that kind of side of things. And so I knew I had to change that. And my podcast changed that, because guess what? Now I was having conversations with Tim Ferriss, Gary Vaynerchuk, Seth Godin, where before I was never having conversations with people of that level. And that's just kind of been the journey, is like, your network will be your net worth. And, I've just continued to level up my game, surround myself with the 5 people. And that's why I end every one of Entrepreneur on Fire episodes by saying, hey, you've been hanging out with Fred and JLD today, and you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So keep up that heat. And that has been such an important factor in my journey. And something I just want to let people know. You are that average.
I love that. It's so true for me. I spent all of last year really just building, buying, and finding relationships because of that. Because I'm always trying to up level my friends. I'm trying to bring in new people. And I'm sure you get this question as much as I do. So I want to ask you, how do you find these people? How do you reach out to, like, the Tony Robbins, the Gary Vaynerchuks, the people who are, the top of the world in their class, essentially, and actually get them on the show? What's your secret, if you will, to bringing them in?
Well, number one, you got to be strategic. Like, you've got to be strategic. You have to launch a show that's, worth them being on, number one. Number two, like, you wait, you're patient. Like, I waited till Tony launched Money Master the Game. Then I had him on the show because he was in full promotion mode. I waited until Seth Godin launched the Icarus Deception, and he was in full promotion mode. I waited until Gary Vaynerchuk launched Jab, 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 Right Hook, and Tim Ferriss launched the 4-Hour Body. Like, it was strategic, it was planned, and I made it happen. And a lot of people in the podcasting space are just like, John, I just joined Podcasters Paradise. Like, this community is awesome. I love it. I'm learning all these great things. How do I get the best guests on my show? And I'm like, well, how many interviews have you done? And I'm like, and they say, well, like, none. I'm just getting started. And I'm like, well, that means that you suck as an interviewer, which is fine, because I sucked. Everybody sucked when they started. Like, hello, you're not going to be good at something you've never done before. And do you really want to suck having one of those people on? Like, no, that's your first impression with them. Like, you need to put in the reps. You need to hone your skills. You need to do what you need to do to make things happen, to become better at your craft. Then when the time is right, you'll know it and you'll pounce. That's the process.
I love that. Because for me, I just started by bringing my friends on. I was like, I have some pretty cool friends. They're entrepreneurs. They're doing cool stuff. Let me bring them on at first. And then it grew. And then, I had the opportunity to bring Les Brown on the show. And I'm like, why not? And it grew since then. And it grew since then. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And now it's just like you said, it's just so much fun hanging out with cool people and really learning a lot. What would you say are some of the biggest takeaways that you've learned just from bringing some of your guests onto the show?
I've learned so many things. I mean, so many things. I've now interviewed over 3,000 people. And by the way, you going like half screen and full screen is making me dizzy. So let's just stay split screen here. Let's like lock it in. Awesome.
I got you.
I've interviewed 3,000 people now, and I've learned so many things. And that's, honestly, was the inspiration for me to finally write this book. I was like, there's a book in me, but it didn't exist in 2012. It didn't exist in 2016. But like, this book finally came out of me because I've been mentored now by over 3,000 of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. I've learned from every single one of them. And it's been so amazing and inspiring to learn from them and understand what, are the principles, the foundational elements that they all have in common. That is the reason why they're success. Like, there are ingredients to success. And I was able to just pull all of them out, boil them down, and identify what ended up being the 17 core foundational principles that every successful entrepreneur has. And Fred, it's not complicated. It's not hidden. It's not secrets. It's a very, very common path. And that's why this book is called that, The Common Path, to your version of uncommon success. There's a common path to uncommon success that successful entrepreneurs have trod upon. I boiled it down into the 17 foundational elements. I put them in a chronological order, and I said, that's the roadmap. This is the process that we have all followed to get to our version of uncommon success, of financial freedom and fulfillment. That's the process. And I've learned so much over the years from them. And I get so many messages from people who are on their way up or are just wanting to start or experience this journey. And frankly, I just didn't have a great answer for them before because I can't answer people individually.
Sure.
Now I do. I have the one definitive answer. It's this book.
I love that. I love that so much. It really just talks about what this show is all about, right? This is called the Make Money and Have Fun show. And that was my revelation, I guess, about a year and a half ago, was I was steeped in the financial literacy world. I started out as a real estate investor and grew into stock investing, and I knew a lot about money, but I also found that I wasn't having that much fun. I wasn't very fulfilled. And so I knew there was another half to that bridge. And so we got to talk about this book of yours, because I know that you're doing a lot with, getting pre-orders out and promoting this book. And I know what it's like to actually have books come out. I'm on my third book, which is coming out with a publisher. Yes. So tell us about this. Tell us about the undertaking of going through it. And the other cool thing is I'm actually dubbing this month on my show as Author Month, because every day I'm going live with different authors. So you were the perfect guest for me. So tell us about this book that you're writing, the Common Path to Uncommon Success.
Well, first off, let me tell you, the common path to uncommon success, as I just previously mentioned, it is not complicated. It's not secrets. It's not hidden, but it is hard work. Hard work is a very common ingredient in the successful entrepreneur's journey. But one thing I want people to think about that are hearing these words right now is, guess what? It's also hard not to be successful. It's also hard to be broke. It's also hard to live paycheck to paycheck. It's also hard waking up every day doing something you don't want to do, not being able to support your loved ones. That's hard too. Mm-hmm. So why don't you right now choose your hard? Like back in 2012, it was hard for me to not be successful. It was hard for me to wake up every day not having a real purpose or relevancy in life. And I chose another hard. And my hard was to launch this business, which was really hard. Yeah. But guess what? The alternative was hard too. So I just chose between hard and hard. And of course, I chose the right one. And I went on my path. And of course, I made a lot of mistakes and I had a lot of failures and struggles and obstacles and challenges, frankly, because I didn't have this 17-step roadmap, which, would have been amazing for me to have back then. But over time, I've interviewed these 3,000 successful entrepreneurs, and I've developed the core foundational principles that we all share. And I boiled it down into a step-by-step roadmap. It is step 1 to step 17. And guess what, Fred? If you get this book and you read it and you apply its principles, you will achieve your version of financial freedom and fulfillment. Period. That is what this book will do for you. This is the common path to uncommon success that I have found over 3,000 successful entrepreneurs have trod upon. Why can't you? There's no reason you can't, because it's not a no trespassing path to uncommon success. It is an open, free path that we all have access to. And here it is, laid out for you in a 17-step roadmap. And listen, this book has been personally endorsed by Gary Vaynerchuk, Seth Godin, who is just a author, a luminary. You should definitely try to get him on your show. Neil Patel, Erica Mandy, Dory Clark. These are luminaries in their field who have personally endorsed this book because they read it and they're like, okay, this is something that was missing in this world. And now people have that roadmap they can follow step by step by step. So if you want to learn a little bit more about this, one simple place, you can see the URL right below my name, uncommonsuccessbook.com. You'll see those 5 endorsements. There's a video there where I explain more details about the book. I actually give the first chapter away on that page as well, on that URL. And you can see all 5 bonuses that come with pre-orders. Very important you pre-order, because if you pre-order, Fred, I'm shipping all 3 of these to your doorstep.
Nice.
When you pre-order the Freedom Journal, the Mastery Journal, and the Podcast Journal. These are 3 of my best works ever. I launched the Freedom Journal in 2016, the Mastery Journal in 2017, and the Podcast Journal in 2019. And these journals, I am shipping them at my own expense to your doorstep if you live in the United States. Outside, you get immediate access to the digital packs of those. And that's just one of the bonuses. There's 4 other insane bonuses. You can learn more about them. uncommonsuccessbook.com. And Fred, 15 minutes is up, brother, but this is fun.
This has been amazing. John, thank you so much for being here. We're definitely going to go check out your book. I'm definitely picking up one or multiple copies because I know how hard it is to write a book. You are the man. Thank you for being here. Everybody who's joining us, thank you for being here. And we will see you again next time on another episode of the Make Money and Have Fun.
Have fun.
See you, John.